Now, learning verbs is an essential part of learning English, but for most of us, the experience of learning English verbs has been a very bad one because the usual verb conjugation table looks like this. Now, what you just saw was a typical English conjugation table with so many different forms on it that it's actually not so motivating, is it? So in this video, we'll discover how to make learning English verbs much easier, much more efficient, and enjoyable. You probably know by now that Speakly teaches you English by teaching you the most relevant words and sentences of the language. And thanks to that, you can learn the language several times faster because you're avoiding learning phrases, words and sentences, and grammar that you don't need in your daily conversations. This is no different with verbs. Speakly also teaches you verbs based on their real-life relevance in real-life conversations. The reality is that in the school system, we are taught many verbs and verb tenses that are actually very seldom used, so you don't need them. Based on our years of experience, we have seen that to speak a language successfully, one only needs a small part of the whole sea of verbs and tenses to be successful in speaking the language. And what is this small part, you might ask? This is around 50 to 60 most relevant verbs of a language. And in the English language case, it's the same. As you know, the typical conjugation table of a verb in English contains so many different tenses and forms, but as we mentioned in the beginning of this video, most of them are not so usable. In reality, you just need the most important tenses of a verb to converse in the language. And these most important tenses are the most used present tense, the most used past tense, and the most used future tense. And if you want to be really fancy and sound super smart, then maybe one more tense like the conditional tense as well. That's why we are guiding our learners in Speakly also to learn these most important tenses of verbs in English, because it's a much faster way to arrive to a point where you can actually speak the language. And that's exactly why in the Speakly app, you will see that in the conjugation tables, there is only a selection of tenses given, because these are the most relevant ones. As you study words and sentences with Speakly, do this each time when you see a verb. 1. Open the grammar section by tapping on the little book icon under the study card and go to the tables section. 2. Find the verb form that you're currently studying and try to understand which tense it is and try to memorize it. 3. Now find the same form in other important tenses. So for example, if you are learning the English form we are, then go check out the same form in the past. We have been. And in the future, we will be. 4. Take a moment to really memorize these 3 forms and write them down if it's easier for you. While it may seem logical to now automatically memorize all the forms in these tenses and in these verbs, don't do it. It's too much information for your memory. Just focus on memorizing these 3 forms and move forward step by step. Now, if you do all that, you will give yourself the tools to really manage in real-life conversations, because you will be accustomed to switching between most important tenses, the past tense, the present tense, and the future tense. And you will know these forms that are essential for real-life conversations. Enjoy.